Gu Miaomiao, who died suddenly from staying up late and bound the system, woke up. Opening her eyes, she, who was supposed to be the female lead, actually dressed as a malicious supporting actress. Based on the self-cultivation of higher education learners, Gu Miaomiao decided to pursue a career and love her career. Just as she was about to change the plot and continue, the system told her that the villain Wei Xingyan in the book had been reborn. Gu Miaomiao. After a lifetime of hard work, Wei Xingyan decided to find a partner and continue to cause trouble. Therefore, Gu Miaomiao, who had been mentally ill by him in the previous life, successfully rose to power. Wei Xingyan said, "Collaborate with me, break up the two of them, and I'll help you get him." Gu Miaomiao. Deal. For the sake of Xiaoming, Gu Miaomiao worked diligently. Unexpectedly, this big villain was so reliable. Not only could he help her with the plot, but he could also personally go out and cause trouble. Hugging her thighs tightly, Gu Miaomiao's days were smooth sailing, but why did she suddenly become popular when she chased after the big villain to cause trouble? What kind of villain is there? Didn't we agree to cause trouble together and pry into the female lead's corner? Why didn't you play according to the routine? Assistant. Sir, Madam has gone to chat with my uncle again. Wei Xingyan said, "Miss, you're old enough to move out and live with your uncle." Assistant. Sir, Madam went to see uncle again for a drink. Wei Xingyan said, "Miss is sensible now. You can let her and her uncle move out to exercise together." Assistant. Sir, Madam has followed my uncle on the show again. Wei Xingyan raised his forehead with a headache and said, "Miss has become independent. Let him take your uncle and don't come back again." Gu Miaomiao choked silently. Big shot, how can I dig the bottom of the wall like you are? Keywords of the novel. Mr. Wei, Madam. She went to dig the female protagonist's wall again without a pop-up window. Mr. Wei, Madam. She went to dig the female protagonist's wall again. Download the complete text. Mr. Wei, Madam. She went to dig the female protagonist's wall again. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Wrong plot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Wrong plot, let's break up, the child belongs to you, and the money belongs to you. I don't want anything, I just hope you can let me go. From now on, our bridge will return to the bridge, the road will return to the road, and there will be no intersection. City A. Lin family. The lights are brightly lit. The melodious violin music floats in the dazzling night sky. In the courtyard, Gu Miaomiao sat on the ground, covering her stomach with her hands and accusing the man in front of her in tears. She, the top otaku of the 21st century, read a novel called The Evolutionary History of Little White Flower, while staying at home in a book drought. Although the plot was tacky and dog-like, it still had a strong plot, so she stayed up for a few nights to finish reading the novel. As a result, just as she put down her phone and was about to have a good night's sleep, she suddenly felt a tightness in her heart. Then she opened her eyes wide and died suddenly, gorgeous and beautiful. When she woke up again, a white halo appeared in her mind. The halo told her that if she wanted to survive, she would do a task, complete the plot as the female protagonist in the book, and drive the novel to a successful conclusion. She would then receive a life extension card and return to the real world to continue living. After all, she was only 20.3 and passed away at a young age, which was regrettable. Therefore, in order to save her life, she agreed. However, what she never expected was that the book she was tasked with was actually The Evolutionary History of Little White Flower. At least I have just read a novel and am quite familiar with the various plots inside. The story of a silly white sweet lying flat all the way to the peak of her life under the protection of various male gods, shouldn't be very difficult for her. With a nervous heart, Gu Miaomiao extended her finger and began her first storyline mission. There were waves of whispers coming from around, and Gu Miaomiao lifted his eyes and secretly glanced at the man in front of him. Why doesn't he speak? Why didn't you react? Is it because my performance is not strong enough? Can't it resonate with him? With a frown, Miaomiao decided to intensify his efforts and continue speaking. After I leave, I hope you don't tell your child who his biological mother is. I don't want him to be born with regret. If you marry someone else, I hope you can treat him well. Feeling deeply, Miaomiao lowered her head and gently wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes. You should have some reaction to acting like this, right? Come on, come hold me, come take me away, tell me you're only marrying me in this life. Squeezing out a few tears, Miaomiao couldn't help but feel a shiver in her heart. Waves of noise echoed from around, accompanied by cheerful music. The man was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, holding a wine glass in his hand, with a furrowed brow. After a long time, he leisurely uttered 4 words. What's your problem? The choking suddenly came to an end, and Miaomiao's face stiffened. Then she looked up in shock and looked around with some uncertainty. Yes, this is the Lin family. It was at Lin Haonan's welcome banquet, right? But what is the situation now? Why is it different from what is written in the book? She silently called the system in her heart, but she did not receive any response from the system. In the novel, this is the venue for the welcoming banquet held by the male protagonist's parents for him. At that time, the male and female protagonists had already come together due to love, but because the two families had some festivals, the male protagonist's parents and the female protagonist's brother did not agree with their love for each other. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Misdressing a malicious supporting actress. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Misdressing a malicious supporting actress. In order to stop them, without the knowledge of the male protagonist Lin Haonan, his parents found a girl who matched his family for him and decided to force him to get engaged to that girl at his reception banquet on the evening of Lin Haonan's return to China. As a result, it can be imagined that the female protagonist was heartbroken upon learning about this matter, while her best friend, the malicious female companion Miaomiao in the book, was stirring up trouble for her on the side. After all, the female protagonist has a simple mind and does not distinguish between good and evil. Therefore, she listened to the slander and sneaked into the venue. After encountering the male protagonist, she pretended to be pregnant and staged a bitter drama of being abandoned by a scumbag. Finally, the male protagonist rebelled against his parents for love, abandoned everyone, and left the Lin family holding the female protagonist. This incident naturally became a popular story among the later population of a city. Turning to her senses, Miaomiao looked at the man with a bewildered expression, as well as the people around her who were discussing and pointing at her. So, which link exactly went wrong? Shouldn't the male lead be affectionate and come over to protect her at this time? Are you sick? Who are you talking about? Is it possible that she mispronounced her lines? So she tried something else again. Just as Miaomiao was racking his brains and finally preparing to add something more, a petite figure suddenly pounced on her without any defense. Miaomiao, are you okay? Suddenly, an additional pendant appeared on his body, which frightened Miaomiao. He almost couldn't catch his breath and forcefully pulled her away from him. Miaomiao then looked at the girl in front of him with a bewildered expression. What do you call me? If she didn't hear me wrong, did this girl just call her Miaomiao? Miaomiao. Miaomiao. Can it be that malicious female supporting character Miaomiao from the book? Miaomiao, who ultimately died from a mental illness and jumped off a building. That's not right, isn't she wearing the female lead Wei Xingyan from the book? Why did this suddenly become Miaomiao? Now not only is it difficult to lie flat, but also to entrust my life here. With wide eyes, Miaomiao was stunned on the spot for a moment. When I first read this book, part of the reason was because she had the same name and surname as the malicious female supporting character, so she was more curious about the ending of this female supporting character. As a result, it's not just a bloody drama. The beginning and end of Dog Blood, in this book, truly fully embody the word dog blood. Gu Miaomiao, a woman who excels in both appearance and ability, works exceptionally hard because of her poor family background. After graduation, she smoothly entered a media company and worked diligently from the bottom, gradually taking up the position of deputy director of the media company. In the eyes of outsiders, having such achievements at a young age is already remarkable. However, just because she is a supporting actress, after the appearance of the female lead, her life gradually began to crack. Because the protagonist's aura was too powerful, everything that belonged to her easily fell into the hands of the protagonist. Even Lin Haonan, the man who helped her like moonlight and silently loved her for 4 years, was easily taken by the protagonist. Jealousy, once it takes root and sprouts in a person's heart, will grow rapidly and cannot be stopped. When Gu Miaomiao found out that the white moonlight in his heart had eventually become the possession of the female lead, he could no longer restrain his hatred and completely blackened it out. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Admitting the mistake as the big bad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Admitting the mistake as the big bad. After reading the ending of Gu Miaomiao in the book, his mood was suppressed for a long time. This was originally a gentle, kind, lovely, and ambitious girl, but it was because of the author's favoritism and the unfairness of heaven that she suffered such a tragedy. Her efforts were not rewarded, and her crush was taken away by others. Who wouldn't blacken out this? Patted his face, and Gu Miaomiao instinctively swallowed his saliva. Although she did apologize for Gu Miaomiao in the book at that time, she didn't want to become Gu Miaomiao. This sympathy and sympathy, but she didn't want to die. Miaomiao, I'm sorry, it's all because of me. If it weren't for seeking justice for me, how could you come to the Lin family with your stomach open? I don't know about your relationship with my brother. Miaomiao, don't worry, if my brother doesn't want you, I'll take care of your child in the future. Seeing Gu Miaomiao's stunned expression as she reached out to hit herself in the face, Wei Xingyan thought she had been hit too hard and collapsed. The deep emotion in her heart deepened a bit, wiping away the tears from her face. Wei Xingyan quickly stood up and pulled Gu Miaomiao's arm, trying to pull her up from the ground. Behind her, a man in a white suit was looking at her with a heart-wrenching expression. What? Her brother. Isn't it her old baby Lin Haonan? Why did you come to the Lin family for her? Is she Wei Xingyan? Isn't her brother Wei Xingyan? Gu Miaomiao. Damn it, why did you still make a scene? She remembers when she wrote about the banquet in the book, she clearly didn't write Wei Xingyan. It's really a wave that hasn't calmed down, and waves are rising again. She hadn't finished digesting on her end when she heard Wei Xingyan talking about her brother again. Gu Miaomiao looked up in fear, only to see the man she thought was Lin Haonan looking at her with a gloomy face. Subconsciously shrinking his neck, Gu Miaomiao quickly averted his gaze. Wei Xingyan, known as the Great Demon. The only villain in the book who looks even better than the male lead, according to the book. He is stunningly handsome. Handsome people and gods are indignant. Handsome enough to make everyone stop breathing. Unfortunately, there is no emotional connection. The biggest antagonist in the book that prevents the male and female protagonists from getting together is him, and he is also a complete spoiled girl maniac. In the book, besides the male protagonist, even if it is a star in the sky, he will do his best to remove it and send it to the female protagonist's side. Because of this, when Gu Miaomiao caused Wei Xingyan to behave badly, he broke her finger, painted her face, threw her to Africa, and even insulted her. In the book, Gu Miaomiao suffered from mental illness, which was largely due to Wei Xingyan. She must have committed too much wrongdoing in her previous life, so that's why she's been involved in this kind of thing in this life, right? Quickly carrying both hands behind her, Gu Miaomiao felt like she was not doing well. What a real TM is afraid of comes from what they are afraid of. If they dress the wrong person, they don't say anything, and as a result, they even recognized the wrong person. System, are you there? I was trapped by you and couldn't sleep. In his heart, he secretly cursed the unreliable system 1,000 times, and only then did Miaomiao follow Wei Xiaoqian's momentum and get up from the ground. System optimization. After patting the dust off her body, Miaomiao stood beside Wei Xiaoqian with some fear. Damn it, she's really in a wolf's den. Except for Wei Xiaoqian, the male lead and this villain are all people who want her life here. Mom, can I leave? I'm really scared. Miaomiao couldn't help but complain in his heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Face blindness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Face blindness. Miaomiao. Miaomiao. What's wrong with you? Don't scare me, I'll take you to the hospital now. Seeing Miaomiao's eyes dull and his face turning pale, Wei Xiaoqian became even more nervous. Although my older brother doesn't seem to really want this child, it is their first great-grandson in the Wei family and her own nephew. Moreover, he is still the biological flesh and blood of his best friend. If my mother and grandmother knew that my brother had a future, they would definitely be very happy. Therefore, for the sake of the descendants of the Wei family, she must protect Miaomiao well and never let anything happen to her. Hurriedly taking out her phone, Wei Xiaoqian quickly clicked on the screen and prepared to call an ambulance. Xiaoqian, don't, I'm fine. Seeing that Wei Xiaoqian had already entered 120 on the dial panel, Miaomiao was startled and quickly held down her hand. Mr. Wei, I'm sorry, all of this is a misunderstanding. As a Yano, Miaomiao could no longer care about whether Wei Xingyan was handsome and charming. He took a deep breath, forced out a smile, and then looked up at Wei Xingyan. Misunderstanding. Miss Gu, I haven't even seen you before, so you said you had my child. How did this child come about? The man stood tall and elegant, but his words made everyone present blush and heartbeat. Shaking the red wine glass in his hand, Wei Xingyan sneered and looked at Miaomiao, whose face turned red and white in front of him. Miaomiao. Even if this is the world of novels, we still have face in front of so many people, okay? You're shameless, don't pull me along. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Miaomiao bared his teeth, grinned, and squeezed out a smile. Mr. Wei, if I say, I mistook the wrong person, do you believe me? Gripping her palms tightly together, Miaomiao felt her face stiffening with laughter. Oh. Face blindness. I didn't expect Miss Gu to have this disease again. Since that's the case, I'll have someone make an appointment with Dr. Chen from the 3rd hospital now. I heard he's very skilled at treating this disease. Miss Gu doesn't need to thank me. Before Miaomiao could react, 2 bodyguards walked over and forcibly separated her from Wei Xiaoqian. They then held her arm on one side and prepared to take her out. Brother, where are you taking Miaomiao? She's still pregnant with your child, you must not harm her. Watching Miaomiao about to be taken away, Wei Xiaoqian was so scared that she quickly ran to Wei Xingyan's side and grabbed his arm to help Miaomiao speak. Wei Xingyan. Seeing Wei Xingyan's silent and gloomy expression, Wei Xiaoqian began to panic again. What should we do? What should we do? Has my brother already made up his mind not to have this child? That's his first bloodline. If he were to seek help from his mother at this time, wouldn't he have time? Just as Wei Xiaoqian took out her phone and was about to send a message to Wei's mother, her palms suddenly emptied and the phone landed steadily in Wei Xingyan's hand. You haven't explained to me why you're here today. Xiaoqian, I told you to stay away from the Lin family and you're not obedient. Wei Xingyan squinted his eyes, but his voice was extremely cold. The hand that grabbed Wei Xingyan's arm suddenly shrank, and Wei Xiaoqian swallowed in fear before finally daring to push back. Why aren't people from the Lin family good? Brother, I just like Lin Haonan. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Dog Blood Mary Sue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Dog Blood Mary Sue. Her voice was loud, and the surroundings suddenly fell silent. After all, Lin Haonan in her mouth is the protagonist of today's reception banquet, so everyone couldn't help but curiously approach, wanting to hear if there is any more exciting gossip. Take Miss back. Her words eventually angered Wei Xingyan. As more and more people began to approach, Wei Xingyan turned his head and gave orders to the other two bodyguards behind him, then looked at his own sister with a dark face. No, I'm not leaving. I never expected Wei Xingyan to be strong. Wei Xiaochen shook her head in disbelief and quickly turned around, ready to run away. Miaomiao. Big brothers and sisters, please take a look at the child first. The child is still being carried and prepared to be taken out. If you want to play an idle drama, will you let me go first before acting? At this moment, Miaomiao was almost ready to cry without tears. Ah! Then came another crazy scream. Probably the standard configuration of the dog blood plot. Wei Xiaochen just turned around and felt a pain in her feet the next second. Then she fell to the ground in a magnificent manner. Yes, that's right, she sprained her foot. At this very important moment, she sprained her foot. Xiaochen, are you okay? Watching Wei Xiaochen lying on the ground with a painful expression, Lin Haonan, who had been standing in the crowd, finally couldn't bear it anymore. Pushing aside the bodyguard next to Wei Xingyan, Lin Haonan squatted on the ground with a heart-wrenching expression, holding on to Wei Xiaochen's arm. Everyone. Miaomiao. Is it really unnecessary, big brother? To highlight the difficulty of love between male and female protagonists, do you kick the reader's brain like a ball? You can't leave such a big place like TM, so you have to go against the villain. As expected, upon seeing Lin Haonan appear, Wei Xingyan's eyes were eager to spew fire. Xiaochen. Haonan. Follow me back. Follow me back. Two cold voices rang in their ears at the same time. Miaomiao looked up and saw a woman with a lingering flavor in mid-year looking at them coldly. Mom, in this life, except for Xiaochen, I won't marry anyone. Brother, in this life, I only like Lin Haonan alone. Two people tightly grasped each other's hands, trying to persuade them. Xiaochen, you will understand my brother in the future. With a black face, Wei Xingyan took a step forward and grabbed Wei Xiaochen's arm, pulling her to his side. Master Lin, in the future, I hope you don't hit my sister's attention again, otherwise you will bear the consequences. After speaking, Wei Xingyan forcibly dragged Wei Xiaochen away from the Lin family. Of course, Miaomiao, who had been carrying her all along, was also taken with her. Mr. Wei, I really misunderstood the person. Please listen to my explanation. Miaomiao shouted anxiously, but no one responded to her plea for help. Stepping out the door, Miaomiao saw Wei Xiaochen being dragged onto a Maybach by Wei Xingyan. She was then thrown directly into a black Land Rover and quickly drove away from here. Damn it, you're such a pervert. You're really blind to such a beautiful face. Knowing that she could no longer change Wei Xingyan's decision, Miaomiao no longer struggled. However, as she sat in the back seat, she couldn't help but start spitting out fragrance. Two bodyguards on the left and right. After driving for about half an hour, they finally stopped at a rusty iron gate, surrounded by a pitch-black area. Only the two street lights above their heads emitted a faint light in the pitch-black night. Miaomiao looked up and said, End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Sending to a mental hospital. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Sending to a mental hospital. The Third People's Hospital of City A Jianhu people refer to it as a mental hospital. Name. Miaomiao. Age. 20.3 The doctor, who was about to write a medical record, paused his pen and then lifted his head. He pushed the reading glasses on his nose bridge and looked at Miaomiao with some sympathy. How long has this disease been discovered? Doctor, if I say that all of this is a misunderstanding, do you believe it? Many people who come here have said so, but now they are all very obedient. Nodding, he gestured behind Miaomiao, and the doctor put down his pen. He then leaned back on the chair and took out a few candies from the pocket of his white coat. An ominous premonition suddenly rose, and Miaomiao only felt a chill on his back. Hee hee. A chilling laughter came from behind, and Miaomiao slowly turned his head to see a middle-aged man with dark skin and a burly figure, drooling, holding a caterpillar in his hand and looking at her with a silly smile. Hee hee. Seeing Miaomiao turn around, the man's smile became even more unrestrained. He placed the caterpillar in his hand directly above Miaomiao's head, and then took a few steps back, happily clapping his hands and jumping up. Yeah, Miss Chang'e is so beautiful. Miaomiao likes Miss Chang'e. Due to the man's large size, with this jump, the entire room was filled with a thump 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 sound. Miaomiao. Someone passed by the corridor and curiously looked inside, probably thinking it was a novel and interesting activity. The person outside stood there hesitating for a while before coming in and jumping with the man. Miaomiao. Obviously, this situation was already commonplace, and the doctor calmly placed the sugar on the table and waved his hand at them. Alright, you guys, don't jump. Just now, the Jade Emperor sent me to bring you some candy. Take it and share it with the other immortals. The doctor furrowed his brows and looked serious. If it weren't for his fast thinking, Miaomiao would have almost thought that the Jade Emperor had indeed brought them sugar. Sugar, there's sugar. The Jade Emperor has really brought sugar. Thank you, old lord. Roaring dog, let's go back to the heavenly palace. As expected, upon seeing the sugar, both of them quieted down and carefully removed the sugar from the table. The man thanked the doctor and then quickly ran out with the other person. Doctor uncle, I'm going home. I'm really not mentally ill. Taking off the caterpillar from her head, Miaomiao slammed the table and stood up, leaning forward, looking at the doctor in front of her with a broken face. Miss Gu, after all, you are a VIP customer sent by Mr. Wei, so we dare not neglect it. Alright, you can stay here and observe for 3 days. If there are no other symptoms after 3 days, I will let you leave. How about that? Closing the pen cap, the doctor picked up the medical record on the table and blew it up, trying to dry the ink on it. Doctor, can't you really accommodate me? I'm not sick, really. If you don't believe me, you can go check. Miaomiao widened his eyes and pointed to the sky with one hand, attempting to make one final struggle. The doctor absent-mindedly dug out his ear, then took out a candy from his pocket, peeled it off, and handed it to her. Doctor uncle, I'm really not joking with you. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Hospitalization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Hospitalization. Miaomiao was angry, really angry. She had said so much about her emotions, and this damn doctor thought she was farting from here. The ticking sound of the clock ticking came from outside the office, and I raised my arm to look at the watch in my hand. Suddenly, the doctor's uncle showed a thought-provoking smile. Staring at Miaomiao's face, the doctor placed the medical record on the table, then stood up and began unbuttoning his white coat one by one. Outside the window came waves of cicadas chirping, with the wind blowing and leaves rustling. Through the window, a round moon hung high in the sky, adding a sense of tranquility and horror to the entire hospital. WC, won't you encounter any abnormalities? After swallowing his saliva, Miaomiao's head twitched and he instinctively took a few steps back. Miaomiao looked at the doctor's uncle on guard and silently reached into his handbag, wanting to see if there was anything self-defense inside. It's 8 o'clock, Miss Gu. My wife is still waiting for me to come home for dinner. Unlocking the last button, the doctor took off his white coat and placed it on the chair behind him. Excitedly, he picked up the key next to the table and said a word to Miaomiao before quickly running out. Gu Miaomiao. After all, she couldn't leave here. Following the nurse and through a long corridor, they finally stopped at the entrance of Ward 502. Opening the door, the nurse turned her head and said, "Dr. Chen said you need to stay in the hospital for observation for 3 days. For these 3 days, you can stay here for now. My surname is Lu. If there is anything, just call me directly." With the lights on, the nurse aunt walked in directly, placed the newly received pillow and blanket on the bed, and then hung a splint with Gu Miaomiao's name on the head of the hospital bed. Standing at the door of the ward, Gu Miaomiao looked at the contents with a disdainful expression on her face. If it weren't for her early preparation, she would have thought she had traveled to a small county town 20 years ago. At first glance is a rudimentary hospital bed, with a simple bedside table on the left and a lacquered bottle rack on the right. Above the bed is an old, yellowed hanging air conditioner. Perhaps it felt too monotonous inside. There was a vase placed on the bedside table, with 3 strands of faded peony flowers inserted inside. At the entrance of the ward, there was a toilet, which was a very retro type of squatting pit. A dark shower occasionally dropped a few drops of water, making it particularly frightening on this quiet night. Gu Miaomiao. Seeing Gu Miaomiao's disdainful expression, the nurse couldn't help but sigh. "Hey, these conditions are already very good. Don't underestimate them. It's been a long time since the authorities allocated funds for the renovation of our 3rd courtyard. Anyway, you can stay here for 3 days and make do with it for now." After making Gu Miaomiao's bed, the nurse aunt checked the inside and outside of the ward again and confirmed that there were no problems before locking the window and getting up and walking out. Gu Miaomiao. Good guy, there's really no need. She's cute and takes good care of her own life, so she definitely wouldn't do such a foolish thing as jumping off a building. Besides, this is a mental hospital, and even if she had 10 guts, she wouldn't dare to run around this big night. Disgusted, Gu Miaomiao walked around the ward and briefly washed up before locking the door and lying down on the bed discouraged. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Ward 502. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Ward 502 In the quiet of the night, Gu Miaomiao dared not turn off the lights. A few chilling laughter could be heard downstairs from time to time, followed by the scolding of the nurse aunt. There was also the sound of dripping water in the bathroom. Every drop seemed to drip onto Gu Miaomiao's heart, making her so scared that she couldn't even speak out. Grasping tightly onto the blanket on his body, Gu Miaomiao's heart remained speechless, apart from being speechless. This bullshit system is not reliable at all, isn't it, to say that she is the female lead? Before the love story was written, it said so much and farted, didn't it? Silently cursing the system in her heart, Gu Miaomiao forced herself to close her eyes and repeatedly told herself. Empty everything, everything is empty, there is a party in her heart. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and sat up suddenly. Gu Miaomiao widened his eyes and looked at the door with a frightened expression. Ward 502. Surprisingly, it's Ward 502. She remembers that after the protagonist in the book exposed everything he had done to the female protagonist, Wei Xingyan, who was a major villain and a sister control, threw her to Africa to avenge his sister and his unseen nephew. She suffered a great deal of humiliation, and life was more than death. In the end, she finally managed to escape back to her home country, but learned that the male and female leads were about to get married, knowing that she had no chance of turning over. Under the dual torment of her body and mind, she eventually went insane and was sent to a mental hospital. At the end of the novel, as the male and female protagonists happily walk towards the hall of marriage, she suffers from a mental illness and runs out of the hospital room. The bell of the church rang, and she woke up like a dream, standing on the top floor of the mental hospital. She looked in the direction of the church and slowly uttered a few words. "Wishing you all happiness." Then, her body quickly fell like a butterfly, and from then on, the whole book was finished. A cold wave swept through her body, and after confirming the door number again, Miaomiao was almost ready to cry, as if she had been admitted to the mental hospital at room 502. WC, why did this come earlier? Aren't you going to have to tell Xiaoming in the next few days? System, come out and speak clearly to me. Sitting on the bed, Miaomiao began frantically calling the system. Ding dong, hello. Nice to serve you. System optimization is currently being activated, please wait. Upon hearing the mechanized system prompt, Miaomiao was so excited that she almost burst into tears. Hello, host, I am Yuyu. After waiting for about 30 seconds, a cute and playful lowly sound directly reached her ear. Miaomiao was taken aback for a moment. It seemed like this was her first time officially facing her exclusive system. However, with such a cute voice, she should still be a child. If she scolded her now, wouldn't it be too good? Seeing that Miaomiao had no response, Yuyu couldn't help but say it again. Hello, host, I am Yuyu. Suddenly regaining consciousness, Miaomiao spoke with a violent input. What kind of bullshit system are you guys? Didn't you agree to be the lead actress? What kind of ghost is becoming a supporting actress? And what about Wei Xingyan? Didn't you say you're going to follow the plot? Even if you're going at triple speed, you're not going to reach the end, right? Why did you just send me to a mental hospital? I mean, even if we're going to die in the book, you should tell me in advance to be mentally prepared. Alright now, I haven't figured out what kind of character I'm going to play yet, so I'm going to kill TM. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. System Optimization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 System Optimization. An hour later, Miaomiao finally stopped talking. The whole scene fell silent. Probably unable to withstand such a long period of work, the incandescent light above flickered twice before completely extinguishing. Miaomiao. I want to go home. After another hour of crazy output, Miaomiao stopped talking again. Knowing that he could no longer choose to pretend to be dead, after hesitating for a long time, Yuyu could only speak cautiously. Host, don't be angry, calm down, calm down. The lovely Luolian rang out again. Originally, Yuyu was preparing to comfort her, but as soon as she said this, Miaomiao was so angry that she wanted to pull it out and beat it up. Calm down. How can I calm down? I promised to be the female lead, but as soon as I came in, I became a supporting actress. Or the kind of malicious supporting actress who would have to confess her life to her once the big finale came. Do you think this is considered a trick? Miaomiao became more and more angry as she thought, and the more angry she became, the less drowsy she became. In the end, she simply kicked away the blanket, got out of bed in the dark, walked to the window, and sat on the only chair in the room. Moonlight shone through the window and scattered on the ward. The swaying tree shadows were reflected on the wall under the moonlight, swaying in the wind. Although the system was not a real person, at least it could accompany Miaomiao to speak, which slightly reduced her fear in the heart. From time to time, there were arguments between the nurse aunt and others downstairs. Miaomiao could hear that this was the middle-aged uncle who had placed a caterpillar on her head in the doctor's office today. Su Da-chang, I warn you that if you don't sleep anymore, you won't be allowed to leave this room tomorrow. The nurse aunt's voice was rough and loud, especially on such quiet nights. Her voice became particularly harsh. Up. Old witch, how dare you speak disrespectfully to me? You know, I am the Erlang Divine Lord in the sky. Apart from the Jade Emperor and the Supreme Old Lord, no one dares to speak to me like this. Roar the heavenly dog, go. Teach her a hard lesson. Then came another round of noisy chatter. Wu Fairy Auntie, I was wrong. I dare not, I'm going to sleep now. Miaomiao. Uncle Su's involvement in the drama is too deep, and he can't come back from journey to the west. The downstairs gradually quieted down, and Miaomiao withdrew his gaze. Tell me, I became a supporting actress for no reason. You must give me an explanation. Under the moonlight, Miaomiao slowly moved to the bedside table and picked up the small bag placed on it. More precisely, it was Miaomiao's carry-on bag from the book. Today when she was in the doctor's office, she seemed to accidentally touch the phone inside, but she didn't know if there was anything inside that could help her. Host, we are truly sorry for this issue. We were communicating with you about our advanced system, which is the system manager, and we are the exclusive system they distribute to each host. Originally, your identity was the female lead of this book, but our main system malfunctioned a few days ago, the day you were reading the book. When we noticed something unusual, it was too late, so you became the female supporting character Miaomiao in the book. With every word spoken by System Excellence, Miaomiao's heart was filled with millions of grass mud horses flying by. Damn it, this damn system is really unreliable. It's so easy to malfunction. Didn't anyone really complain about them before? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Rebirth of the Villain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Rebirth of the Villain. So why don't you make up for it? Can't you wear it again? Miaomiao was full of hope, hoping that they could repair the malfunction and give her a chance to wear it again. I'm really sorry, host. The condition for us to wear books is that our bodies die and our souls travel. If we want to do it again, you must die in this world now, and... At this point, Yu suddenly paused for a moment. Miaomiao frowned and her intuition told her that the unfinished words would definitely make her completely furious. However, driven by curiosity, she couldn't help but ask. And what? Moreover, due to a system malfunction, the villain Wei Xingyan in this book has been reborn. If you want to wear it again, the world will be in chaos. Therefore, after unanimous discussion in our senior management system, your application will not be accepted. Perhaps knowing that Miaomiao would be furious upon hearing this, Yu closed her mouth and silently waited for Miaomiao's next outburst of anger. Are your TMs toxic? After listening to Yu's words, Miaomiao angrily slapped the iron headboard of the hospital bed. The headboard made a muffled bang sound, causing Miaomiao to quickly move his palm away. WC, the pressure is too strong, my hands hurt so much. Taking a deep breath of air, Miaomiao almost jumped up in pain, but she held back because she wanted to maintain her fierce image in front of the system. At this moment, in a certain space, the system manager couldn't help but shiver. Although they were just programs and there was no question of whether they were cold or not, Miaomiao was indeed quite scary. If he knew it was wrong, he would definitely curse himself and crash on the spot, right? Thinking of these, the system manager quickly updated several new tasks to ease his fear. Recently, this new system has been optimized, and it seems that it is a malleable talent. I took this opportunity to let it practice well with Miaomiao, which will definitely be helpful for its future upgrades. Not bad, Miaomiao's matter will be entrusted to you. With this thought, the system manager immediately felt a lot of peace of mind. Host, don't worry. It's no use rushing now. All we can do now is do the task well. Once the task is completed, we can go back, right? You quickly spoke up, trying to calm Miaomiao's emotions. Originally, it thought that the outside world must be very beautiful. It followed the host to complete tasks well, then upgraded again, and finally became the system manager of its own side, leading a group of small systems. However, it didn't want this first task to be so difficult. How should it live in the future? Okay, Nyo Pai, you guys are tough. Sitting on the edge of the bed, Miaomiao gritted his teeth and pressed his finger. Then you have to tell me what I'm going to do next. Our manager said that after all, it was a system malfunction that caused all of this, so as long as you follow the prompts to complete the important storyline task of the female lead, and finally help the male and female lead successfully reach the ending, the rewards we promised will still be awarded to you. However, to prevent this world from becoming chaotic, if you die before completing the task, even if the task fails, not only will you lose all the rewards, but you will also disappear and no longer exist. End of this chapter.